Hi, gang. Welcome back. This is the Spilling the Tea Leaves podcast with Rachel and Michelle. I am your friendly, now short haired host, Rachel. You can find me on Instagram at Cottage on Wolf Lane. I'm an animal energy intuitive, really into spirit guides of any incarnation, but mostly animals. And I like to hang out with Michelle, my spiritual BFF.
Hello, everybody. I am Michelle. You can find me on Instagram at Remember Love, and you can also find me online at rememberlovehealing.com. It's a new website domain. Remember Love Jewelry still works, but I believe that Remember Love Healing works better to what our goals is. So I am a crystal Reiki master. I like to hang out with Rachel when she's around, and crystal, energy, and all that wonderful stuff. Yeah.
Very cool. And today is a bit of a continuation on something that we started discussing last time, which is protecting your energy, setting up cleansing and protective rituals. What are some situations in which you might want to think about the energy you're giving out, you're getting back, how you're ensuring that your spirit and your energy is optimized? That sounds a bit CEO-y for us, but really being mindful of and protective of your energy. And there are a lot of different ways to do that. Michelle and I were actually brainstorming before we started recording about just all of the aspects that we could get into on this just tiny little topic.
Yes, yes. It's a lot. It
It's
is
a
a
lot,
lot.
but it's important. And I think a lot of us go through our day doing our muggle stuff, and it's not necessarily that we're not thinking of these things, but it's just so easy to kind of have an argument with somebody and then keep feeling that way because then you have to pick up the kids and you have to, I don't know, brush the dog, and um, thinking about why your energy might be wonky, especially for us who are empaths, and then again, how you can rein it back in, clean it, cleanse it, bless it, I think is, again, just there's an opportunity for a lot of us to give some intention to that.
Yeah. I know everybody, depending on what their path is, has a preferred way. Some people like using crystals, some people prefer smudging. And within the smudging, what herbs do you use? Some people like using sage, other people like using Palo Santo or holy wood or doing energetic cutting. So there's a lot of information, there's a lot of ways to do that, but there is no right or wrong way. And when we say we want to make sure that you are protecting your energy, we mean we're making sure that you're keeping your energy vibing at its highest frequency, or at the frequency that best serves you. And sometimes, like Rachel mentioned, when you do go out and you meet and you interact with people, for those who are visual, and you can imagine your aura extends around you, sometimes a few feet around you. And when you are around people, sometimes you do tend to muddy that energy, I guess is the best way to describe it. You muddy your energy, especially if the person is not at their best at that moment, or they're upset. And like Rachel said, you can go into this for maybe 3 or 4 episodes, and we'll try not to do that. But especially with empaths, where we are susceptible to we are more in tune with other people's energy. You're more likely to know, or the energy in a room, before anybody opens their mouth. Like, you can, when you say you can feel the tension, you can cut it with a knife. An empath could probably feel that 10 feet prior to getting to the front door. So empaths, if you can pay particular attention to this episode, have to be very mindful of keeping your space and your boundaries sacred, and making sure that you recognize what is your energy, what is versus what is it that you picked up. And I know, and Rachel's an empath as well, and I know she sometimes picks up a lot of people's energies that are not her own, as do I.
Oof, and it's hard, and for those of us who are in marriages, partnerships, whether that's business, romantic, especially for those of us who are parents, I find it very difficult, I think, more than any other relationship I've ever had, to protect my energetic boundaries with my kids, because it's so easy, especially as an empath who's also a parent, to just want to like make all the boo-boos go away and like let me just suck up all the bad juju and like let me kiss it better, and that's sometimes, often, not healthy for those of us who are taking it, and also it doesn't necessarily serve the people who are kind of giving of their more low vibing energy, or who are kind of feeding off your high vibes. So even when it is someone that you love and are very much linked to spiritually, again, such as in a very intimate relationship, like with a child or a partner, um, there is still a call for us to be at our best, which is as high vibing as we can be, as energetically solid, so that we can continue to be at our best spiritually, physically, mentally, etc. So there are a couple different methods. Again, it sounds a bit sort of cut and dry,
The
but
CEO.
it's like, so,
Yes.
um, but there's much to be said for something as simple as a routine or a daily practice, where
Yeah.
before you leave the house in the morning, or even before you get out of the bed, centering and aligning, and whether that's visualizing your aura or visualizing through your third eye or your crown chakra, white light coming in, just to really set yourself up before you are even out there, before you are
Yeah.
even making the kids lunches or whatever it is, like really, where you need to be. So like, Michelle, when you're like, where does it start for you in the morning? How does this look for you?
Oh God, in the morning I'm a hot mess. So I'm a hot mess. Wake up as
See,
funny
we
as
all have
I did in
opportunities.
my
We all
20s. So me, I usually start well in the morning. Just as I always start with my gratitude note. So I kind of go through what I'm grateful for in my life. My daughter, my husband, a home, a car, my practice, my friends. Like I'll just make a quick list of how what I'm grateful for, and that kind of sets me off on a good note for the day. What I do is I do my cleansing and my uh, aura cleanse the night before. And there's a couple
okay.
of things depending on who I've interacted with, because most of the time my interactions are very limited to who I talk to on the computer. And then sometimes my whole day is people, 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 and then I get overwhelmed. But the night before I go to bed, and Nancy, she's from Astrology Angel Mediums. Her name is Astrology Angel Mediums on Instagram. She's amazing. If you don't follow her, go follow her. She taught me one thing way in the beginning of my spiritual journey, where if you imagine yourself being encased in a bubble of white light, usually for me it's a white light, but you can pick up on what light you need. Sometimes it's pink, sometimes it's green, sometimes it's red, and you encase yourself in this white light and you imagine yourself kind of clearing whatever energy is no longer serving you, and then expanding this white light. And I also start expanding my white light in my bedroom. I'll include my husband, my daughter, and then I'll include the house, I'll include my friends, and it just keeps expanding over and over. And I feel like that's my way of kind of taking an energetic shower of sorts. So it's just kind of my way of just clearing energy that no longer serves me and it's not there for the right reason. If I'm having a really heavy day, my favorite thing to use is Palo Santo or Holy Wood, and that is, just as an FYI for those who are not familiar with it, and even if you are, Palo Santo is if you are watching this on YouTube, you can kind of see the stick that I'm holding. It's a very strong smelling wood that has been used by shamans in South America. It's It's also used in the Catholic churches, which is really cool, but it's used to clear low, I hate saying the word negative, low vibes, I guess is the right word to
Yeah.
say, to kind of clear your space. And it has a very strong, sweet, citrusy smell. You can, if you're interested in purchasing some or didn't see what it looks like, you can go to my website at rememberlovehealing.com and you can see the pictures and there's more information on it there. But burning it really gives me a sense of calm, and it also helps me clear the energy in my physical space. So I'll cleanse my office, I'll cleanse, see, this is going into like a whole other tangent, clean underneath my bed, behind the doors where I know energy tends to be stagnant. A lot of people don't think about that. Like, energy is not really going through the back of the door. Energy is not really going under the bed. So I focus on places where the energy tends not to move as much. And that really gives me a sense of peace. And then you can go into crystals, which is like a whole other space, which I'll save it for right now because I'm not going to take up half episode by
No,
myself.
but truly, I mean, for the purposes of this conversation, you know, there and generally for those of us who work with crystals, I think it's fair to say that you may have in mind a particular crystal that is really going to help you on a day, or you might look at your sort of buffet or altar and say, you know, just feel drawn to one. But I do feel like for me, just like like the most crystal clear quartz crystals are the ones that I tend are generally my go-to for cleansing. However, I do have this just gorgeous chunk of smoky quartz that I
Yes.
like, you know, and it's just like there's something about that, and the smoky quartz is a mine at least is a very deep gray, and it kind of sits in my paw. I'd run and get it, but that would like wreck the video. But anyway, like, and and so there's something very kind of like dense and heavy, but also the color. It just and I can literally feel it just sucking in and just kind of
Yeah.
like clearing some of the lower energies out of my field. And it's yeah, so yes, I mean we have 800 million things to say
Yeah.
about crystals. That is coming, but
It's coming. Well, smoky quartz, just before you go off the smoky quartz, because that's my jam. I'm actually wearing earrings, smoky quartz earrings, a smoky quartz necklace. I have my smoky quartz stone. It is for those who are first getting into crystals, and usually the main question again when they're interested is, how can I protect myself from negative energies? That's 99% of the time when somebody gets into crystals, that is the question that I get. And for those who are interested in crystals, smoky quartz is your premier grounding stone. It is a very protective stone. It transmutes almost unlimited amounts of negative energy. Also, negative energy from yourself, because let's be real, we're not all love and light all the time, and we are not about spiritual bypassing either. Sometimes we just have a messed up day and we feel like doo-doo, and we're just going to wreak havoc on whoever crosses our paths. It happens, right? So smoky quartz also protects you from your own negative vibe. It kind of clears it out. So it gives you that breathing space to say, oh, you know what, I'm kind of being a bitch. I should probably chill out for a little bit and give myself that breathing room. So smoky quartz, if you want to get into crystals and you want that stone to help you with your negative vibes or lower vibes, or want a stone to transmute a negative energy, whether it be from your coworkers or whatever, go to the smoky quartz. And it's abundance. You can find it in so many places, and you could wear it. You can have a large stone next to your bed. It works with your root chakra. Like, I'm happy that you mentioned it, because that's the go-to. I
no,
should
but it is, and
probably order now.
like,
Uh-huh.
well, yeah. Let me just hop on
While
Amazon
we're
super
at it.
fast. No, but it is, you know, and it's interesting too because there are some practices that you can do that are definitely more, let's say, active. Like, I too am a big Palo Santo person, so there's a lot, you know, but that is a very I don't want to say involved, but you know, when you're trying to make dinner, you can't bust out your smudging, you know, like it just that it's
I
not
can
always
do it,
realistic.
okay? I do. It's
You know,
on,
but
the dinner's almost ready. Give me 5 minutes.
All right. So like at school with the other parents at pickup, you know, as you're like smudging, you might get a couple weird looks. If you're just very like I also look, here's my quartz necklace made by Remember Love. You may have heard of it. And
Yay.
and like this is a, I don't want to say passive, it's not passive, but there are things that you can do to protect and cleanse your energy that are kind of working for you, and you don't like, again, you pop the crystal by your bed or under your pillow or in your bra, ladies, and it's like,
Careful not to drop it once you take your bra off in the middle of the night.
don't
I've done that.
forget. PSA, don't drop it in.
Okay.
Yeah. um you know, and then there are some things that you can do that are entirely, in your head makes it sound a little, you know, but there are some things that are entirely visualization based. One of my near daily practices involves walking my kids to school. So every weekday, every school day, I go with them, and um, I I have my animal guides, like, and this sounds very Disney princess, so like bear with me for those of you who aren't used to or into yet working with animal energy.
Yes.
But as I'm kind of walking with my children, I literally picture whatever protective animals are needed or warranted that day. Wolf is a particularly good one. That's kind of a really archetypal protector, across a lot of different practices, whether it North American, South American. Anyway, the wolf is a really good one, but sometimes it can be as simple as a dog or another animal that you feel would be grounding and protective and helpful. And I can watch my kids walk to school and know that they are going to be protected because I've asked these spirit guides, this energy, to come and help them on a particular day. And as an adult too, I do that. I was, um, long story short, we don't have that much time, but I had a mountain lion come to me in a dream about a week ago, and she bit me. When they bite you, that's when you know you really have to pay attention. And so she's been hanging around with me this week, and I actually had kind of a feeling or a vision when I was in a yoga class earlier this week, where she kind of, you know how like a cat will like nuzzle you, and she was kind of like holding me up, and again there was kind of like a protective, like almost parental energy of just like literally holding me up. And you know, so it doesn't have to be something physical like a smudging stick or a crystal, and it doesn't even have to be something that you do every single day. It can be very in the moment, or, you know, I had this vision in a dream where I was surrounded by blue and white flame. Use that. Like, you know, these are messages that are coming, and they are available. These your guides want to help you, and they want to give you this information. And again, it can be something that's very just in the moment, and you have this kind of like flash of a vision that you had in a dream 3 weeks ago. And you know, and so really, I think what I'm trying to say is there are so many things that can be cleansing and protective, and however you go about that is, as long as you feel your vibe raised and you feel better, that's pretty much that's pretty much what you
Yeah.
need, right?
Yeah. I mean, y yes, that's it. We're done. And thank you for joining us. That's it. That was it. No, I do. I wanted to echo what Rachel said about your spirit guides being there and wanting to help you. They are constantly reaching out. And whether you hear them or not, they're constantly sending messages, be it through wind, flowers, an animal that you're constantly seeing, uh, repetitive dreams, or a
Repetitive
crystal
numbers.
that repetitive numbers. That's a huge thing. Or a crystal that you're constantly seeing. As a matter of fact, yesterday, you're going to find this hilarious. As I was driving my daughter to school, I look over on the median, and it's a raised median, and there was a pile of stones, and in the middle, if I could have gotten out of the car, I would have, was a piece of orange calcite in the
What?
rubble. Yes, here out of all places, right? So I'm like, okay, and I'm like, can I get out of the car? Am I supposed to get out of the car? Am I gonna get arrested? Like I couldn't get the stone because the light had turned green. I was making a right, and heaven forbid if I don't make the right when the light turns green. Then it was sitting there in the middle of this pile of rocks. I've heard people that have purchased like bags of soil, and a crystal will pop out of the bag
Yeah.
of soil. So I mean, listen to the messages. Sometimes they're going to be so abundantly clear that you're like, okay, I can't ignore this. But a lot of the times it's for your own good. And if you feel that at the moment your energy reserves are being depleted, or you just are having this like bad luck week, don't think it's negative energy either, or something that you've done wrong. Sometimes there are lessons within those bad moments, and try to really look into that. But as far as energy wise, making sure that you are vibrating at your best for your highest good, um, you have a list of things that you can do. So Rachel mentioned crystals. One of the most popular thing in North America is smudging with sage. And smudging with sage, there is an
You
ethically
read
sourced
my
sage.
mind. Yes,
Yeah.
please,
Why don't you
please.
speak about that more? Because I feel like you're more into that side of. I don't use sage. I don't like the smell
It's
personally.
it's
Respect for those
definitely
who do.
yes. I mean, certainly when you are smudging, using different plants and materials is going. I mean, so yes, like at a very baseline, there's certainly a um, you'll find what's right for you.
Yeah.
That said, we've talked a bit about things like cultural appropriation. I think maybe in our first or second podcast, and there's a whole nother level there. But something else that we need to keep in mind when we are building our spiritual practice is whether the crystals that we're working with are ethically sourced. I mean, I think a lot about diamonds, like for those of
Oh
us who wear
yeah.
yeah, the diamonds that is another crystal. Where are these being sourced? How are the people who are mining being treated? And sage, white sage specifically, has a lot of things to keep in mind in terms of sourcing, in terms of the availability. Not every plant is just abundant and for us to take forever.
Yeah.
There, so um, we'll keep it minimal, and I will get off my soapbox quickly, just for time today. But white sage is not something that is just magically available for all of us to. I mean, nothing is. All resources on earth
Yeah.
are infinite, and we should be giving thanks even for the things that are a bit more abundant. And oh God, don't get me started on water. Okay, right. So anyway, white like
We got
right. So
Rachel going.
so from an environmental and ethical sourcing perspective, please be mindful. If choosing to smudge is one of your spiritual practices, that is awesome. Keep in mind that there are certain plants that may be a better choice, and in fact certainly are when it comes to white sage. So please do a bit of research on that and make sure that whatever path you're choosing and whatever practices you engage in are not just helping you raise your vibes, but raise the collective vibes and the vibes of Mother Earth, who sustains us all. Thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
to my
Yeah.
TED.
Thank you so much for listening. I think that is to go off on a little tangent before we go on to our mid-show break. There are a lot of items that are readily available, unfortunately, for those who are trying to discover their path. Palo Santo is one of them. I mentioned it before, Hollywood. Um, you have to have ethically sourced Hollywood. It's trees, it's a piece of wood, and there's not trees that are available everywhere. There are laws in a lot of these countries, Ecuador especially, where you can't cut the tree for the wood. You actually have to only procure the wood from fallen trees or fallen branches, and you have to show proof that this tree has been dead. Like there are laws that go with it. One other one that I wanted to mention before we go is abalone shells. And this is something, am
Ah,
I saying it right? Abalone? Yes?
I think it's
Okay.
abalone. Abalone.
Abalone? Abalone? Abalone?
Something you eat on a
Abalone.
sandwich.
I'm,
I don't.
I'm sorry. English is not my first language, so, that's my mistake,
Yeah, I
right?
don't. We don't. Yes, but
Abalone,
the
I
large,
don't
the large
know.
shells.
The large, pretty shells. So I didn't know this at all, and this was a learning lesson for me. I mislabeled I mislabeled a shell that's available on my site. These are pearl shells. If you're watching us on YouTube and you can see this, it's used to catch the ashes of sage and frankincense, whatever you're burning. So these are actual pearl shells that are harvested here and used, and then they're tossed out. These are not abalone shells, but I think these are just pearl shells, if I'm not mistaken, and you can find them everywhere. Abalone shells are not. They're actually an endangered species, and there
Oh,
are rescue and they are organizations that are set out to protect these animals because that's what they are. They are living animals, and what a lot of people are doing because they are so trendy and they're beautiful. They have some of those beautiful rainbowy pearly striations that are harvesting them and then selling them on places like Etsy, on Amazon and stuff like that. And you could see the difference is that they have, I believe it's 4 or 5 holes. They're breeding holes on the actual
oh,
shell.
yep.
Yeah, so you could see, like, once you see them, you know that's what it is. So I got a very upset email from a customer saying, I cannot believe you're selling this. And me doing the research, I'm like, oh my God, I mislabeled. This is not what it is. But thank you for teaching me because I had no idea. I honestly had no idea that they were endangered. So whenever you do buy something that is from Mother Earth, just be mindful of where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And yes, as much as we want to protect our energy and as much as we are like gung ho on our spiritual path and ready to pick up all these tools that are going to help us, be mindful of the effect that it has long term on Pachamama, on our planet, on Gaia, Mother Earth, whatever you want to refer her as.
Yes.
Yes.
So we are going to take a very quick break. When we get back, we are going to talk a little bit about some practices that we can do to protect our energy and cleanse our energy, I guess kind of after the fact, when you run into the coworker, when you get home from work, and how we can take care of ourselves in those times. So I'm Rachel on Instagram at Cottage on Wolf Lane, and I'm here with Michelle.
I'm Michelle, and you can find me on Instagram at Remember Love, or you can find me online at rememberlovehealing.com. Cool. We'll be back.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Spilling the Tea Leaves podcast with Rachel and Michelle. We have been chatting We've been chatting a bit about protecting and cleansing or clearing our energies. We've talked about when you might consider doing that. We've talked a bit about crystals and calling on your guides, whether they be animal or otherwise, to help you in your daily practice and in some of those situations. But what we want to focus on for the second half of the series today is some things that you can do after you've been in the meeting, after you've had your long day at work, after you put the kids to bed. How are you really just coming back into yourself and feeling those rich, warm, blankety, good vibes that you want to feel Right? Like, like a weighted blanket, and it's just, yes, like those like really good. I mean, you like, no, really. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us can relate to the kind of feeling of high energy and good vibes, and that is exactly how you want to feel after
Yeah.
you do some of the practices we're gonna talk a bit about today. And I really want to start with one that is very near and dear to my heart. I called Michelle one day about a year or so ago. I had had an encounter with someone whom I care very deeply for, but who comes with their own special brand of energy. And I had run into this person and was having a really hard time disconnecting. I mean, and I felt God. I mean, just reliving it, I can feel the tension. And I called Michelle, and it was sort of a, please talk me out of the tree. What can I do right in this moment in my car to to get myself back? I actually felt a little shattered in a way. So I would really like Michelle to tell you guys how to do what she helped me through.
So I think on the second or third episode, we talked about energetic cords. So whenever you have an intense connection with somebody, be it positive or negative, we all have exes in our lives. I'm just going to use as an example.
Hypothetically speaking.
Hypothetically speaking, if you have an ex that's like stalking your whatever. Anyway, excuse me. Sometimes we do develop, not sometimes, all the time, we develop these deep connections with somebody, like a cord. If you are visualizing a, a thick cord connecting to this person. And sometimes, whether it be a positive or negative goodbye, we still have this connection. Hence, why sometimes we're all dreaming of our ex partners. If we're dreaming of that friend that you no longer speak to, um, sometimes you have to mentally and physically, sometimes, if it helps, cut that cord. So imagining from your solar plexus, or about 2-3 inches above your belly button, this energy or this cord that goes to the other person. And if you need to do scissor fingers to do it, do your scissor fingers. And imagine cutting that cord with that person and saying, I release you. You're releasing this person. I'm cutting this cord that no longer serves me. And wish him the best. A variation of those words, or whatever you want to say. Don't curse the person out and send them to Hades. Just lovingly release that connection with that person. Sometimes that's not enough for some people. Sometimes you do need a deeper ritual for the person's sake. Sometimes that connection is so strong. And if you feel that's not enough, do a ceremony. Do a whole ritual with what you have at home. If you want to light a candle, we'll write the person's name on a piece of paper and burn the name and say, I release the connection that we have with each other. I release what's bonding us, and I wish you the best of luck. And just release that person, burn it. Some people put their, I should probably not say this if I'm not too familiar with it, but if somebody wants to clarify, send us a message or put a comment in. I've seen people put a name on a piece of paper, put it in a cup of water, and freeze it.
Okay.
And that kind of freezes the person out. Again,
Oh,
I'm not very yeah, that I'm not very familiar with that ritual. It's not something I do, but I've heard a lot of people do that. They will put the person's name in a cup, put the cup in the freezer, and it literally freezes that person out of your face. Right? It's interesting.
cool.
And
I dig that.
sometimes, yeah, right? But sometimes you might need to do that several times, the cutting of the energetic cord to doing the
Yep.
ritual. You might need to do that several times because sometimes that connection is strong. And sometimes it grows back together because you're thinking about them and they're thinking
Yeah.
about you, and you are connected in whatever space there is that we can't see. So you might have to do that several times, or figure out, why the F am I still, like, what lesson or what is it that I need to learn from this person that my head has not gotten yet. But for the most part, cutting that energetic cord with that person should really help clear some of that space, that negative space, or that low vibing space in your head, and it helps you not have that gut-wrenching reaction when you see them.
Yes. Well, and I think to expound a bit on something that you just said, there may not be a way, whether because it's a coworker or your father-in-law or whatever, there may not be a way for you to avoid this person or completely and literally cut them out of your life. So what this practice does is gives you some kind of psychic distance, and Michelle talked about, kind of giving you like some sort of breathing room, or taking some of the intense energy out, so that you can then look at the relationship or the person and say, what is it, what am I here to learn? Why is this coming up for me now? Where is the buried treasure underneath all this BS that I'm dealing with from my coworker Lorraine or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, there's usually a gift for us in situations that are challenging. We may not be ready to accept or energetically able to deal with it, because sometimes it can be just too energetically much. So
Yeah.
this practice is not necessarily meant to completely remove that person from your life. This practice and a lot of the other things we talk about are to support and protect yourself, so that you can decide how you want to proceed, so that you can decide where your boundaries are and what is appropriate, and for you to be confident in who you are, and proceed further in that way.
Yeah.
It's
And one
Yes.
thing before we move on, real quick, sometimes there are lessons to be learned as to why this is the type of relationship I'm having with this person. And if for some reason that person disappears and you have not learned your lesson, I guarantee you, you're going to have a person similar to that come into your life, because the universe is going to keep going until you figure out what you need to fix. So if you guys are really just looking for a quick fix, like, I'm done, I don't want to deal with this, I'm good, goodbye, you're going to get it back. Somebody else in another shape or form is going to come into your life with the same energy or a
It's
set
true.
of functions or
It's
dysfunctions until you learn your lesson.
it's all
So
true.
figure it out now before it comes back like 10 times worse. You're like, oh my God, this was so much better. So just this is like Rachel said, it is to give you that breathing space so you can kind of step back and say, why is it that I am feeling this way around this person? And why is this having such an effect on me? And sometimes you just need to cut it. Like sometimes that energetic cord cutting is probably just enough. And other times it's not. And if it's not, you need to look at why that's not enough. Why you keep having the reoccurring dreams with this person. Why do you keep having these themes that are continuing to come around that this person carries? Like, figure it out, guys.
Yeah,
All right.
it's
Yeah.
yes.
Figure it out.
That that said, another really therapeutic, in every kind of sense of the word, practice that I love is salt baths. Salt is a crystal, and it is very cleansing. If you if you find that pink Himalayan salt does it for you, or even like Epsom or like magnesium salts can be really just, oh God, they can like help your muscles just melt. So chuck that in the bathtub, light some candles, rose petals, just really allow yourself. I mean, there's something that is literally cleansing about a bath or a shower. So for you to come again, to really come into yourself from a sensory perspective, and to incorporate salt. Salt water is cleansing, whether it's tears or ocean water or just getting yourself a nice hot bath. At the end of the day, you emerge cleansed. And again, I mean that in every sense of the word in this particular practice. And it's such a simple thing, and like, for as much as we laugh about, oh yeah, self-care, take a bubble bath, but but truly. I mean, and I remember there was a time in my life where I did all of my I refer to my discussions with spirit in the myriad forms in which spirit visits me, as communing. So your word might be praying, your word might be tapping into. There was a time in my life where I did 100% of my communing in the bathtub, and it was like I was in a womb and I was
Hmm.
talking to my mother goddess Gaia, again, like whatever words you're comfortable with, but there's something very, I mean, it's womb like. There's a beautiful sense of just being enveloped and cared for when you are
Yeah.
surrounded, especially if it is salt water. And that is a beautiful cleansing, supportive practice that you can do at the end of your day, or like on a weekend, whenever you can. It's and oh my God, does it feel good? I mean, like,
Take a bath right now. I want to. I'm planning my bath today. Mm.
yes.
No, bath. I mean, that's more than likely FYI or TMI, whatever. Most of the messages that I answered are while I'm in the bath, because it's true. It is like that safe space. My best ideas come in the bath. I'm like, ooh, and then I write down my phone. My husband hates me because I take my phone into the bathtub with me, and I'm there for like an hour. I was like, leave me alone. This is my time. I'm speaking to my. I have a spirit guide, and his name is Charlie, and Charlie is like my business manager, sort of. And Charlie wears a suit, and he has a big say in how I manage my work. And Charlie's the idea behind the podcast, whatever. But it's some of the best have come from that bath, like some from being centered and just having, and it also has to do with having no other um, distractions, right? It's like the lights
Yep.
are low. There's no people talking to you. It's just you and your thoughts, and it's refreshing. So I'm sorry for those that don't have baths. Sometimes it's
No,
just a shower.
but listen,
Showers are
stick
good
with me.
too.
Right. So how many of us are on Reddit? I love Reddit. Like, there's just so much wacky stuff. If you're not already
Yeah.
following Shower Thoughts, and it's well, no, because like, no, listen, hear me out, right? Like,
I
but it
love
is.
that. Right. That's right.
Okay,
Yes.
so for people listening who are not Redditors, there is an entire what's called subreddit. So like, Reddit just has everything going on, and then there are different sort of groups within Reddit, and there's one group that is entirely just shower thoughts, and it's these absolutely bonkers slash brilliant ideas that hit you in the shower. And in this particular context, they are not necessarily spiritual. Most of them are just really hilarious or insightful. However, this is one of those kind of muggle world representations of something that we're talking about. Like, it is, you get these flashes of insight when you are in the shower or in the bathtub, because there's a sort of like safe, empty, warm, supportive space for you to receive. And whether that is something that is hilarious and you want to like pop on Reddit for everybody else to read, or whether that is Charlie or whatever guide coming through and helping you manage your business. I mean, so it's funny. Like, yeah, I mean, like, Shower Thoughts is hilarious, and I love seeing the kind of Muggle world um, representations of things that we talk about here. Like, it's really striking to me that there are people who are who are already doing this, and to take your spiritual practice just one step further, like, just next time you're in the shower or bath, just just kind of put it out there and say, listen, I'm open, I'm here. I would love to hear from you, and nothing may come. Sometimes it doesn't. I mean, like, hey, sometimes it doesn't. Are you gonna sneeze?
Sorry.
Sometimes you
Sorry.
just sneeze, and life goes on.
She's dream.
You know, but a lot of times just, just opening up and like for me, it's like, hey, look, I'm here. I'd love to connect. I'm gonna be sitting in the bathtub for like another 20 minutes, so I'm
Yeah,
open.
it's I mean, showers and salt baths are great to relieve energy. For those that don't have baths, showers are great as well to just visually remove all the gunk off, the bad energy, the bad days. Just visually having the shower, the water fall down on you, and helping you kind of release everything that is not serving you. Because sometimes, yes, a salt bath is not. We're not also lucky to have a bath. My bath sucks, FYI. So it's like a quick one, and then or quick-ish when I can, and then sometimes I wish I could just lay out with like petals and the thing, but the thing is like a shallow dish in our home. But if you are lucky enough to have a very deep, comfy shower, do the crystal thing, the salt,
Yeah.
salt. You can also put crystals in your bath, FYI, everybody. If you do, you can put like a crystal elixir. That's the other one. Okay. Crystal elixir
Yes.
is I can't believe I completely forgot about that one. A crystal elixir. If you grab, I'm trying to look for mine, it's not here, a clear or any spray bottle. Make sure it doesn't have anything like bleach or anything in it. Clean spray bottle, and you put in your favorite crystals. Make sure they are hydro-loving crystals, not hydrophobic. So if it ends in ITE, like selenite, fluorite, calcite, labradorite even has cracks. Carnelian is one that will completely get ruined. Don't put them in water because they will disintegrate. Yes, don't put carnelian in water. It'll expose the already naturally occurring cracks, and it would just disintegrate. It would fall apart. But stuff like rose quartz, amethyst, clear quartz, smoky quartz, if you put that in water, sometimes you could just meditate over it. That's enough. If you want to put it against moonlight, if you want to bless it, whatever way you want to do it. And if you could use spring water or as fresh as water as you can get, use that to raise the energy in your home. So if you don't want to smudge, if you don't want to sage, but you got water, a bottle, and a crystal, use that to spray around your home. Right? It's easy. If you have essential oils, if you have a favorite smell that you
Mm.
prefer, I like lavender. I put a couple drops of lavender and I'll spray under my daughter's bed. I'll spray in the living room. Or when guests leave, sometimes we have people that were like, ugh, I can't believe. I'll spray it around the door, focus on the door, and just make sure that the energy leaves. So crystal elixirs are a huge thing. In the same way, you can use a crystal in the bathtub. So clear quartz is like a blank slate. Clear quartz is like the mother
Mm.
healer. You could meditate or pray or speak to it or love it or put your intention on that crystal. So if you say, I just absolutely want to relax and remove anything that no longer serves me, speak it into the crystal, pop it in your bath, leave it there for a couple minutes, and then you jump into the bath and enjoy
Mm.
that energy. It would program the water and it will help you release what or do whatever that it is that you're asking for it to do. So crystal elixir, crystals and water, when it's safe to do, work very, very well together. So crystal bath, crystal elixir is another way to help you bring yourself back to center.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there another one that you use? Is there another way that you center energy?
A lot of times just sitting at my altar, and a lot of us don't even have the space for an altar necessarily, so it could be as simple as just sitting wherever feels safe and supportive and good, whether that's outside your bedroom, just as a any place you feel good, and just centering and cleansing. I mean, this could be on the train home from work or whatever, and really coming into yourself, and there's I mean, just aligning and feeling your breath, and breath itself can be so cleansing. I mean,
Everything.
just to take some deep breaths and remind yourself that you that you are okay, you are supported no matter what's going on out here. I'm not saying the situation's going to be okay. What I am saying is that all of us have access to spiritual support, and all of us are at a spiritual level loved and have available to us breath. As long as we are still here on this earthly
Yeah.
plane, just to connect with your breath can be so refreshing and cleansing. And it's a simple practice, and a lot of times it's, I don't want to say overlooked, but um, even just to check in and make sure that your breaths are deep, and to breathe into those places in your body that might need a little extra love today. It's a simple but really effective way to kind of get some of the cobwebs out and get some of that
Yeah.
funk of the day just out and off. And and if it helps you to visualize a color, if it helps you to have a mantra with that, again, and what worked for you yesterday might not work tomorrow. And today an ohm might be enough, and tomorrow it might be a inhale the good shit, exhale the bullshit. Like every day, yeah. But something as simple as really connecting with your breath, allowing the exhale to just take everything that doesn't serve you out,
And
can
if
be just.
sometimes, no, if sometimes that doesn't, because I cannot shut up in my head. I have a really big problem. So what I do, for those that are like me, is I go onto YouTube, because it's free, y'all. Or
Mhm.
if you have iTunes, there's our couple or other podcasts. There are other
Mm.
podcasts. I can't think of one particular one right now that do sort of guided meditations.
Yeah,
That do I'm sort of an auditory person. Sometimes I need somebody to talk me off the ledge where I'll have a day that's just full of anxiety and I just can't, for whatever the life of me is, shut up. Guided meditations work, and it gives you the opportunity to disconnect from the other noise or the other sounds and just kind of go inwards, and it'll help you learn how to breathe, take those deep breaths, and it'll call out certain spots in your body that you need to check on. And it gives you a moment just to breathe. You can do it at your desk if you're at home or at your work. If you're, don't do it while you're driving. If you're on a train, pop in your headsets and check in, like Rachel said, take that breath. And a guided meditation can also work if you're not there yet, because a lot of people are not there. They
true,
call it monkey
true.
brain, where you can't, sometimes you cannot physically stop thinking about everything that you have to do, or as something that happened, like your brain cannot do it. And that gives you the opportunity to kind of bring you down and talk you down
True.
a little bit, and gives you the opportunity to learn how to breathe. Another thing on YouTube that I wanted to mention before, because we're almost out of time, there are videos called, if you look up like chakra cleansing videos, they work on a frequency. It's like almost like a frequency therapy. And the
Okay.
theory behind that was, and please excuse me if this is incorrect, where radio stations used to work at a certain frequency, especially when they play classical music. Classical music is made at a different frequency, and the frequency that radios are broadcasting now tends to be disruptive to
Oh,
your brain. So when you see this frequency play out, you can visually see it, how certain frequencies don't look as nice as others. It affects you even when you're, I don't listen to the radio anymore. I don't listen to the radio, like radio stations, because it stress, and I don't know why it stresses me out. Like there's something about them. I'm like, oh, it must be the commercials or something, that you're kind of driving almost in like this weird panic, and you think you can get satisfied by purchasing something or going out. It's like, oh, I'm going to go to the mall, or I'm going to order something. it just works in a way that's disruptive to you. So there's certain YouTube videos that work at almost like a healing rate. So like 432 megahertz is one of the healing frequencies. I think the other one is 508. But if
There
you
are a
go to
bunch though.
YouTube,
Mhm.
there are a
Yeah.
bunch, yeah. If you go on YouTube and you look and if you Google or if you search chakra cleansing videos, they'll come up and you'll see them. And that works too in kind of clearing out, like Rachel said, some of the cobwebs or some of the bases that are kind of creaky or you feel are not vibing right. I like to listen to it while I'm working. It gives me a nice space to work as well because my brain would be like in a nice space. It's either that or Real Housewives of whatever. They're not that good for working out. Sorry, but that does help as well. Sound bowls is something like a meditation bowl is something that also helps clear out the energy. I use that to clear crystals sometimes as well, and that does help with chakras. Certain sound bowls will resonate well with you, others don't. So before you buy one online, I highly recommend that you actually test the sound to see if it helps, if it matches with you. You look
Yeah.
confused. Okay. Yes.
No, but it's
Yeah.
no, but yeah, I mean, but it literally like you have to find what literally resonates. Like
Oh my God, yes, thank you. And we're done.
like
Literally
I,
resonates.
yeah, like someone clanging a dinner bell isn't going to be cleansing in the same way necessarily that a beautiful Tibetan singing bowl would.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, so play around and yes, like
Yes.
you know this healing frequency might feel better for you, and again, what felt good yesterday might not be exactly what is needed today. um yeah, it's
Different
fun. I
things.
mean, there's so many things that you can do to feel good and to get your energy back to where you
Yeah,
want it to be. So it's
absolutely.
yeah. I
Walking
hope
barefoot outside. Yeah.
oh yes,
Go
I hope
outside.
like
Take your shoes off the grass.
my hope for today is that and like we talked about like being wrapped in a blanket. Like I hope that I hope that one or two or all of these practices really helps um just that sense of just feeling good, like, and
Yeah.
loved and just hugged in a way. Like, yeah, I wish that for everybody. So yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think we're coming to the end. This is the end. Um, if there are ways that you guys cleanse that we did not touch on or a way that we are not familiar with, let us know. Shoot us an email at spillingthetealeaves@gmail.com. We want to learn every way to spiritual cleanse because sometimes, I mean, Rachel and I don't know everything. I mean, maybe freezing the water is not right, which I think it is. I don't know. If I'm incorrect, shoot me an email too. If we are wrong or you completely disagree with us, send us an email. If you love us, great. If you hate us, don't
Also fine.
send us
Just try
but
to
we
be
want
nice.
to know why.
Just yes.
Trying to be kind. So yeah, that is the end of our Spilling the Tea Leaves podcast. You can find us on YouTube. As soon as we're done editing, we'll go ahead and put this on YouTube. You can also find us anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts, including Spotify. We are now on Stitcher. Yay!
Yay.
Apple, iTunes, Castbox, Podbean. Uh, if, like I said, if you have any questions, please leave us a comment on where you listen to your favorite podcast. Sharing the podcast really helps us a lot as well. So if you can share it wherever you listen, give us a heart, give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us love, as much love, because we like love. I like hearts. I like the likes. I like the follows. Go ahead and do that. And we are going to be on Patreon soon. We are working on what to offer as far as tiers. So if you have any suggestions, please let us know.
Yes.
And we're done. Again, my name is Michelle. You can find me on Instagram at Remember Love. You can also find me online at rememberlovehealing.com. It is a new website. Remember Love Jewelry still works, but I feel like this one fits a little better. And Rachel?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at Cottage on Wolf Lane. You can DM me or send me a carrier pigeon with a little note. That'd be cool too. I would dig that.
That's true. Yeah, so again, if you have any questions, feel free to send us a message. Our website will be up soon. We are still working on it. We do have Muggle responsibilities, and if I could just lock myself in my office all day, that would be nice too, but
it's a process.
We can't.
It's a process.
Everything is a process. So we will see you next time. Yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.